exercise program that works on systematically working evenly both sides of the body, since I had a horse rear back and fall on top of me and really injure one side of the body. What I struggled with was how the basic Pilates exercises, especially something like hundreds or roll up, actually related to me being on the horse and being strong on the horse. So that's what I'm going to focus on, George. That's what I'm going to focus on, is how these principles now and then later the different exercises help you specifically when you're on the horse. So the first one that I did was working on a neutral spine, the normal curves of the spine. So we aren't riding with a rounded back and we aren't riding with an overarched back. And now I'm going to work on breathing. So breathing in exercise is, in riding or just doing an exercise on the floor, the oxygen is giving you energy. So if you don't breathe, which a lot of people have a tendency to do, and a lot of times it's just concentration. Maybe you'll riding around the arena and then your instructor says, okay, prepare, let's do a leg yield. And then you start to think and you're like, okay, you get tighter. The horse responds to that completely, because holding your breath is usually a flight impulse. And so it also lightens the weight. When you stop breathing, you get tense up into your shoulders. So breathing systematically will keep your body with the oxygen coming in, so you're not getting cramps per se when you're riding. It also will help you to keep the body without excess tension. The tension usually rises up. And so we're going to focus on how to breathe correctly in Pilates and relate that to your horse. So we want to breathe through the nose, inhaling into the back and sides of the ribs, and exhaling out the mouth. So inhaling into the back and sides of the ribs, just seated. If I place my hands across the rib cage, inhale, I'm trying to make the breath go to the side, and then exhale, it comes down and in together. Again, inhale through the nose, feel the weight here, and exhale out the mouth. Too many people have a tendency to chest breathe. These are called their accessory breathing muscles. They accessorize your other breathing muscles to be used in a situation of panic, you need extra energy, flight, not your ordinary breathing muscles. Remember, we're breathing into the back also. So now I'm going to put my hands on the ribs in the back. As I inhale, I'm trying to feel the weight stay in my hands. Feel my ribs expand and move. The ribs are real mobile. And exhale out. What you don't want to see, and we're going to go on our back again, is that people breathe up here. So the weight shifts. It lightens your seat bones. The horse doesn't ride that like that. The weight goes up heavy into the chest. It's a shorter breath. So again, now my weight's on my seat bones. I'm breathing into the back and sides of the ribs. These are people that have a tendency to breathe high and shallow and tight. Notice my weight goes forward. I have to stiffen a little bit to do that. A lot of Pilates exercises are done on your back, and that's because it gives you better feedback. So that's where we're going to go now. You're laying on your back, knees are bent, feet are hip distance apart, hands are down by your side. I'm back in that neutral spine position. So we talked in the first video on the pelvic placement and your neutral spine, that the lower part, the pelvis here from the belly button to the pubic bone, is like a pelvic clock. My belly button is 12 o'clock, the top of the pubic bone is 6 o'clock. The left hip bone is 3 o'clock, the right hip bone is 9 o'clock. So all four numbers need to be on the same level plane. All right, so now I'm going to focus on my breath. I'm going to inhale through the nose to filter the air. I should feel weight across the bra strap area. And then as I exhale, I'm going to exhale out the mouth through pursed lips like you're whistling, just to slow the breath down as you exhale, that you don't get rid of it in one gulp. Again, inhale through the nose to filter the air, and then exhale out the mouth. The inhale and the exhale, usually the exhale can be about twice as long as the inhale. That's something to practice. If you're breathing correctly, it should be relaxing. Now, if you're chest breathing, you'll have a tendency to arch the back, so all of this will come off the mat, so you're lightening the weight. So definitely as you inhale and exhale, if you feel lighter weight across your back, then you're breathing too high up. And picture the lungs and your ribs expanding like bellows or like an accordion. And then exhale, the ribs come down and in together. So again, inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the mouth. Again, we want to bring it up to a seated position. That's the trouble with a lot of the Pilates. It's all lying down and it's hard to translate that to being on a horse. So we're going to do this exercise from this direction first. What I'm trying to do is start in a neutral spine position. My hands are just lightly below my knee. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, I'm going to slowly just round down over my knees. Notice I'm not doing it with the shoulders, but through the spine. Inhale, I'm going to breathe into the back and sides of the ribs. And then exhale, I'm going to sit myself all the way up. So I don't have tight hamstrings, so I can sit up nice and tall. I'm going to show you in a minute how we can do it the other way. So inhale, I feel a length through the spine. Exhale, I'm going to start to round down through the head, neck, upper back, middle back. Inhale, in this position, it's easier to get a stretch, feel a stretch across my back. Inhaling, and then exhaling, seated all the way up. If you have tight hamstrings doing this, it would be better if your feet are lower than your hips. Then you can sit in a neutral spine this way. So you can do the same exercise. Inhale, find your sit bones. Exhale, start to round down so you get a stretch through the neck. Rounding down. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly coming all the way back up. One vertebrae at a time. One more time. Inhale, pull up on the pelvic floor. Exhale, start to round down, lengthen the neck. Don't pull the head and neck forward. Start to round, opposite of the sternum, the upper back. Abs are pulled in. Pause, and then slowly coming all the way back up. Good. All right, so that's a little bit about your breathing. Now, one of the classic exercises we see in Pilates is hundreds. And with hundreds, which usually is the first exercise done in a classic class, I usually wait a little bit longer. You might see people that are kind of, their arms are flapping and then their head starts to move and then they're moving through here. So all of that is not what we want to see. So hundreds is about breathing. The arm movement is just going to be keeping the breath. So it's an inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're not breathing like you're in labor. So it's a long breath to a count of 5. And then see if you can exhale to a count of 5. And then also what it's doing is as you inhale and exhale, you can keep the torso still against the movement. So we come back what we talked about in your neutral spine position. Remember, you have a weightlifter's belt inside of you, the transverse muscle, the deep abdominal muscle. So this helps to hold this still. So as you're pulsing in hundreds, you don't see the collapse at the sternum. We're going to do a very simplified version of hundreds. It gets much more complicated, and that's where people start to get tense. Okay, so remember your focus here is can you inhale to a count of 5 and exhale to a count of 5. So again, I find my neutral spine position. My pelvic clock is level. If I pull up on the pelvic floor, it helps to keep the weight low. It also helps me to find my transverse muscle so I can tighten it like a weightlifter's belt. Remember, when you tighten your deep transverse muscle, it does not make your pelvic tilt. We don't ride like this and we don't exercise like this. We exercise in a neutral position. So on my hundreds, I'm just going to inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. So the movements at where the arm comes into the shoulder. What it's not is from the hands or the elbows. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. The stillness of the torso or the core against the movement of an extremity is what Pilates is about. So that means the exercise doesn't look like this. So my pelvis is tilting. That makes my head and neck move. A bobbing head on a horse means a person doesn't have a core. Good. All right. All right, so that's breathing in Pilates and how you can relate that to horseback riding. Dressage specifically, but any horseback riding involves a super strong core. Next up in the third of our principles, we'll be working on where the rib cage is and where the shoulders are. So I hope you join me for that video also. Thank you.